All right, I give a lot of people nutrition advice, and I find the best way to record your nutrition is with the app MyFitnessPal. I've already downloaded it and opened it up to my settings. So obviously, first step, download the app, get it on your phone. This is going to be a way to familiarize you with how to use it. Not an expert at it, but I can tell you what works for me. So first thing you'll see is when it opens for me, it's my home screen. It tells me how many calories I have remaining for the day. And currently, I sit at 2,039 calories a day. The way I typically use it for people is with flexible dieting or macros counting. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. So I'm not super concerned with my calories, but obviously for those of you that know flexible dieting or have met with me or chatted with me, we're primarily concerned with the macronutrients of fat, carbohydrates, and protein. If we're going to look at anything else, obviously we want to talk about quality of food choices and all that good stuff, but right now we're looking at specifically how to use the app. And the one other thing I would tell you to focus on within the app is your fiber. Because if you're like me, you like to poop, and fiber is important. This is the home screen and my favorite screen because if you look at it, it tells you your goal. So for example, if we look at fat, sits at 71 as my goal. To the left, how much I've consumed today. I've ate today, but for the sake of this video, I've zeroed everything out. So I'm at 0 fat with 71 left. And then if we scroll up, carbohydrates 205 and again at 0. And then finally protein 145 or 0. The question that often comes about is just how do I use it? How do I go about it? So we're going to start first by hitting the gray stripe under 2039. And from there you'll see the meals. So we have breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks. Now, there's no way to separate the snacks, so if you have multiple snacks throughout the day, they're all going to be lumped into one category. From there, we can talk about adding a food. Let's start very simply with adding a breakfast. So I click on the plus add food, and it pulls up your recent items as you can see across the board. And first of all, don't judge me with the foods I've ate. I do eat some healthy foods, but first thing we're going to look at across the top, we have recent, we have frequent, foods you eat more often. So bacon and eggs right up top there for me. My foods, these are foods that you've plugged in yourself that weren't already in the database for MyFitnessPal. Meals. This meals we'll talk about in a moment, but meals will pull up your last breakfast or the last meal of everything you have logged under that category, breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or any meals you do have. So as you can see, the one meal I've added is chicken tortilla. My mom makes it for me. She knows she has to measure it out for me. So it's in my app so I can remind her how to do it. And then same holds true with recipes. I don't ever add any recipes there because I try not to cook too often. So I find the two that you're going to use the most are recent and frequent. And what I want you to understand when using recent and frequent, it's going to pull up. So if we look at this potato roll, it'll pull up the most recent number of servings you had. So if you had one today, don't assume tomorrow when you have 4 of them at once that it knows that. You're going to have to go in there and manually adjust how many potato rolls you had. So we can say, okay, we're going to have 2 today. Then tomorrow, the next time we pull it up, I hit that check mark. It'll have it listed as 2. You can look at these green little squares that it adds. Sometimes it'll tell you it has a lot of calcium or saturated fat, etc. Obviously, it's useful when it tells you you've gone over your daily allotment for protein, carbohydrates, or fat. When you're also looking at recent and frequent, keeping in mind that it's going to fall under the category you use. So for example, lunch, it'll have my most recent, yesterday I had a smoked salmon cream cheese and turkey breast and smoked salmon on a bagel, etc. So it'll pull up that, where breakfast pulls up my recent breakfast foods, the bacon and eggs that I had told you about, and same holds true for frequent. It's going to pull those that are most frequent under that specific meal. If we go back, I hit that back arrow. That shows you how to log that. A couple of the things I want to show you is, for example, under snacks, I lump my vitamins here, and I almost always have the same vitamins and kill cliff every day. So what I do is hit that check mark at the bottom, and now I'll just manually check these every morning and plug them in, add those 6 things, and then they are there to show me that regardless of what I have, I know I'm going to have those later in the day, so I may as well subtract that from the top. And that's what I recommend for most people new to flexible dieting or counting your macros do. I always recommend, hey, start with your dinner or start with your cheat meals that you want to have tonight, plan ahead, and then backfill in. So, for example, it's a Sunday night here in Florida. When I get home tonight, I'm going to go out to dinner with my parents. They're not out. My mom's cooking. She understands how to weigh and measure. I want to come home and have one glazed donut. I want to have a Dunkin' Donut glazed donut. So I'm going to plug that in now. I'm going to look at it. It's got 260 calories. It's verified, if you notice there, meaning it's pretty accurate from Dunkin' Donuts. 14 fat, 31 carbs, 3 grams of protein. I'm going to plug that in. So now I can look at the top of the screen and say, how much do I have remaining? If I click that, what I've done there is click that top gray. I'll show you again the line that ends with 1493. If I touch that, now this is brand new to the MyFitnessPal app. They added this about 2 days ago. And what I want to show you is what's in there. So first thing it shows you is just your breakdown of macros, which is great. It'll show you the current number you're at, but doesn't really remind you of where you need to be. So this is a useful screen if you want to scroll through and just I always like to show people, see, I always get my macros almost like, yeah, there's a day that wasn't perfect, but I tend to hit my macros pretty spot on every day. So obviously this open gray one is a day I didn't track at all. It was a Saturday, and I decided, hey, I need a day where I don't track my macros at all. You can click this day view. It'll change the view, but really keeping in mind, the number one thing we're using this for is to track our macros, and that's what's most important. So if we go back to today, right here, that's what I've put in so far. That's the macros view. Calories, again, not so useful. It's going to just tell you where you're eating the majority of your calories. It's breaking it down to meals. I don't care about that. I want to hit my macros at the end of the day. So it's nutrients. If I click nutrients, that's going to be of the most value to me, as well as that home screen. Nutrients will tell me the calories I've had and what I have remaining, as well as the fat. So for example, I've plugged my snack in. I've plugged my donut that I know I want to have tonight. And I know now I can still have 54 grams of fat, 120 grams of carbohydrates, and 126 grams of protein. For most people new to eating this way, you're going to find that protein is the hardest for you to consume. You're going to have to work on that, especially women. I found definitely get lower amounts of protein, higher amounts of carbs. So we're going to have to find good ways to get in that good quality protein. And again, that's from tracking there. If I hit the X button, the other screen that I really enjoy is the home screen. Very simple if I want to just look at my numbers. Okay, what do I have next? A few other things I want to touch on, but not super important. Just these bottom little numbers or bottom pictures. We have diary. I don't use any of this. This is just gets you to the screen. Diary gets you to your day screen. But things like the progress and the more progress, I don't use MyFitnessPal for anything other than counting my macros. So once I plug my numbers in, I don't change anything. I don't change my weight. I don't change my goals, because then MyFitnessPal manually adjusts your numbers, and that's not what we want to do. If you click on that more, same thing, you'll go to my profile. That's my before picture. That was me on New Year's Eve 2014, about 20 pounds ago. You can see I have one friend, and that's one of my clients, Sarah. She's kicking butt on this. If we go to goals, and again, like I said, that was my current weight on day one. I haven't changed anything because I don't want it to mess up my numbers. As I've told a lot of you, you can't manually adjust your grams on MyFitnessPal, so you can only adjust the percentage, and there's a workaround for that, which I'm happy to send any of you guys to do on your computer. Other than that, we have today's nutrition, we have my recipes and foods, etc. But I encourage you all, once you just use MyFitnessPal for tracking